My way, or the highway, and in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Gallop Out. I'm your host, Ryan Anderson. As usual, get to be joined by Jackson Muniz. Jackson, how's it going today?
Going good, man. We finally hit something at Churchill. It's been a rough couple days at Churchill Downs last week, but you know, our guests and I played together in the tournament and went pretty well, so can't complain. And now we're playing a contest on Saturday that we're going to talk about, so pretty excited.
Love to see it. Good luck. Yeah, we'll bring the guest on in just a second. Obviously, we got to go through some of the peripherals. First of all, good luck, this weekend. I'm sure we'll talk more about that as we're going to go through the claiming crown today for this Saturday at Churchill Downs. We're going to go through the last 6 races 6 through 11. We got our top 2 picks in each race, along with our special guest, and that'll segue us right into promoting the fact that Jackson, you and I are on In the Money right now. That's where most of you guys are going to be watching. If you're not watching through In the Money, be sure to go over and subscribe to their channels, because starting next week, that's pretty much going to be the only place you can watch the shows, whether that's on X, through YouTube. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already. You can also watch on the Gallop Out on YouTube. But those will pretty much be the three streaming platforms. So be sure to check out all the In the Money content at inthemoneypodcast.com. And as I said, we're now on In the Money, and the audio is available anywhere you get your podcast: Spotify, Apple. That's the only 2 that come to my head. Other than that, let's bring on our special guest. He's with In the Money. We've had him on a few times, but Jackson, he was your tournament partner today. It's Mikey P. Mikey, what's going on, brother?
Good to be here. Glad to have you guys on the ITM network. Looked like we had quite a few views last week on the In the Money YouTube channel, so that was excellent, and glad to have you guys on. Always good to talk to you guys, talk horses, and Jackson's like I don't know, he's probably like one of my best friends now. The way we go every day, we're looking at races and playing contests. So yeah, always good to hang out with you guys.
Love it. Always good to have you. And yeah, thank you everybody for all the support last week for the first show that was on In the Money. That was tremendous. So hopefully we just keep that ball rolling as we get into a race that I don't know what you guys think, but this was as difficult a sequence as any of the Breeders' Cup races that we had to handicap a couple weeks ago. Before we dive on into it, your thoughts on the sequence, Jackson, and then Mikey.
It's terrific. Like you said, we're going to cover the pick 6, and all 6 races I thought top to bottom were just phenomenal. They're deep, they're competitive. You can make cases for several horses in there, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And it's really cool to see these claimers get their day in the spotlight, running for more money. A lot of them coming from different places, and these are the bread and butter of our game. These are claiming horses. They're not hard triers. They run every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks. They're running all the time. So we're really excited for Saturday.
Me too. Mikey, your thoughts on the sequence as we go through the pick 6 today on Saturday?
Yeah, a big claiming crown fan, honestly. They've been doing this for quite a long time. They used to do it at Canterbury, then it kind of moved around the country a little bit. Nice to see these claimers. Now I think the horses have gotten a lot better in the claiming crown. It used to be a lot of those hard-knocking mid-Atlantic type horses in the claiming crown. Now you got some really nice horses in here. Some horses that are stakes horses, that are allowance horses now that are eligible for these conditions. So these are fun races. It was and the fact that now that's moved to Churchill, I think that even adds a lot more light to it, a lot more eyes on it. So yeah, but this is great betting, and always enjoy these claiming crown days.
Yeah, claiming crown's fantastic. 1.1 million in purses, 11 races to get to. So let's not waste any time. We have 6 races and 3 of us on the screen. Picks are up for race number 6 as we kick things off. We're going to mile and a 16th for that starter allowance. 8,000 condition, $100,000 for the purse. Going to mile and a 16th on the main track. I went 6-10. Jackson, you went 10-5, and Mikey, you went 6-5. So we're using a combination of the same 3 horses. Mikey, we'll start with you, a horse that both you and I landed on as a top pick, 5-1 on Curling's Malibu.
Yeah, I do like this horse. I do think that Sayas getting up is intriguing, has ridden this horse in the past, and it's just in very good form. The Colonial horses are doing very well, shipping all over the place. Got a big number there in a starter allowance race back in August, and then showed up in a race against Double Your Money. Well, that was a nice race there back in New York on October the 18th. So I just think that this horse is in good form. He's facing better horses, and he stands to get the right trip. There's plenty of speed in this race. So I just think that, given the circumstances of the race, his class, the fact that he's going to get the right spot in this race, I just think that he's the right play. 5-1, I think, could be a little high on that morning line. I think he's going to be less in here, but there's plenty of other ways you can go. The Time for Trouble is another classy sort. It's been running in stakes, but it's all these marathon races, right? I mean, he's racing against like Parchment Party, who went to the Melbourne Cup. He's facing horses like Awesome Aaron, Tennessee Lamb. Those are really nice high-level stakes horses. But if you look, mile and 3/4, mile and 3/16, mile and a half. So he's got to shorten up in distance, but maybe his class can carry him in this race. He does have a win over the racetrack. He has wins at this distance also. If you look, he has 4 wins and 6 starts at the very similar distances. So he's been there before, just not there for a while. So I think it's probably one of those two. I could see the 1 as a long shot type play also, but this is a good race and good way to get started in this pick 6.
Yeah, good way to kick things off. You went over a few horses there. I'll start real quick. Curlin's Malibu, a horse that I picked on top as well. I'm with you. I thought the effort 2 back going the mile in a 16th fit really well. I think there's plenty of pace in here to set up for him today, or Saturday rather. And you mentioned the Colonial horses, and they've come back this year to be pretty formful races. Sometimes those races can be, outliers. They can be kind of one number figures, but a lot of the horses that have come out of that meet have come back to kind of replicate those at various different tracks, and they're doing pretty strong. So I'm with you. I think Curlin's Malibu is going to take a little bit of play on the morning line, but going to be my top pick in here. You give some love for Time for Trouble. I see the point on this one. Obviously, has faced much, much better. I just thought that cutback might take a little bit out of this horse early, and I wonder if he's going to be left with maybe a little too much to do, but I certainly respect him. Jackson, you picked this horse in second, and then go ahead and talk about the 10 after any thoughts on Time for Trouble.
Yeah, I think the good thing about the Claiming Crown is these fields are giant, and there's a lot of horses that do have speed, and their paces are going, to be honest. They're not going to let someone walk the dog in these races. So you can, bet these closers with some amount of confidence that they're at least going to have somewhat of a setup in these races. And then Time for Trouble probably is a horse that does need a setup in this race because he is coming out of those marathon distances and he's not going to have a lot of speed. He's going to drop out the back in this race, but he's got plenty of back class. We saw what he did earlier this spring running against graded stakes foes. There's no graded stakes foes in this race. So if they go fast up front and someone comes closing down the lane late, it's probably going to be him. It's just a matter of, can he get there in time or not?
I like it. And then talk about the 10, your top pick in Hoodlum.
Yeah, I do like him a bit on top. He's a little interesting. It's one of those races I didn't want to put a favorite on top. I just feel like it's one of those really competitive spots. And that race at Keeneland I thought was maybe a little bit better than it looked. I think Sias had to move a little early because My Noble Knight moved early on the turn and he could not let that horse get away. That was the favorite in there, and he probably felt like he had to go after that horse. Probably missed. I don't think it was his fault. I just think he moved earlier than he wanted to. Got a little tired late. I think in this spot, he's going to have, be able to time that race better. Obviously, Torres is riding this time, but he's got races that fit. The races 2 and 3 back make him a fit against this bunch. And at 10-1, he's a horse I want on top because I do think he's capable of winning a race like this.
Yeah, I don't disagree with most of what you said. I picked this horse in second. I thought could certainly rebound off the sloppy track effort at Keeneland, where I'm with you. He had to kind of move early when My Noble Knight made that move around the turn. So flattened out a little bit towards the end, but you do cut back that extra half furlong, and maybe that hits him right between the eyes. So 6-10 for me in the first leg in race number 6, 10-5 for Jackson, 6-5 for Mikey. We'll move on to race number 7. We're going a mile on the dirt. Start allowance 12,500. Picks are up on the screen. I went 9-13. Jackson went 8-11, and Mikey went 13-11. So again, we're a little bit similar, but not on the nose. Jackson, we're going to start with you as you're going to 12-1 on the morning line, Savannah Marie.
Yeah, this is going to be a theme. I picked mostly prices in this sequence just by the nature of these races. They're wide open. This race is no exception. I guess Julian Joni is going to take a lot of money here. I don't need her as a favorite off of 2 just atrocious efforts. She won this race last year, but she's not in the same form. It seems like she's lost all of her speed that she's shown. So I don't need her. The horse to her outside, State of the Goat, just okay. And After that, that was pretty wide open. So I felt like Savannah Marie is a horse that has merit in this spot. She got really good this spring when she won a couple races back to back. And I thought the comeback race was maybe better than it looks watching the replay rather than the page. She tried to make a move into a slow pace. She was right there the whole time. She was battling. And then she really hit a wall the last 16th of a mile. I thought the margin was maybe exaggerated a little bit. I think it was better than it looked. Probably a perfect prep for her. Now she had that 2-turn race. She's got a little tired off the long layoff. Now they're cutting her back to 1 turn. She's got an outside post. She'll be coming from off of it in a race that has plenty of speed. And she's got races that are good enough to win as well. So at 12-1, I feel pretty good about putting her on top. Just needs to work out some kind of trip.
I like it. Yeah, she has to. She has some stamina and some foundation off that comeback race, going 2 turns, cut back to the 1-turn mile. I don't hate it. Certainly has a shot. And at 12-1, I'm not gonna talk you off of a long shot. Mikey, you went with the number 13, Mercy Warren, a horse I threw into second because I think she has some merit as well. But you want to put this one on top for the returning BJ Hernandez, who I believe's first day back was today, if I'm not mistaken.
It was today, and he got a win today. So obviously, Brian didn't lose too much with those severe injuries. So I'm happy to see him back. It's really nice that he's able to get back, especially those are some really bad injuries that he did have. So for him to be back so quick, it just shows how tough that these guys are. Really insane to me how he can show up today and just jump right back on and get in the winner's circle. So, shout out to Brian Hernandez, obviously one of the top jockeys that there is. But I do think that Mercy Warren plays well in here. I like the post. I think that Joe Sharp's barn is starting to heat back up again. And this one is very versatile. If you look, what was able to win at Saratoga, was able to just miss, lost to Next Girl, who I like second in this race, in the Colonial race going a mile there. And, then the Keeneland line I thought was decent there. Those were nice horses also. And that was 7 furlongs, just missed in that spot. Now you get an outside post. I do think that this horse should be stalking, in this spot, and has a couple wins over the racetrack. That's important for me. A lot of these horses are shipping in. This horse has proven over this track versus this company, and I just think has been facing better. Looks faster on paper than most of these horses. So I just think that there's too many things. I know 3-1 morning line, but again, big fields. I do think Jackson's horse, the 8, has a chance too, and I would definitely use in multis, but. The 11 is very similar to the 13. Those 2 horses with those outside posts, I think, are going to play really well in this race.
I don't disagree. I definitely think your point on the 13 is one that I can echo. I had to put Mercy Warren in there in second for me, just because, again, I'm with you. The outside posting is an advantage. Having that early speed could just end up sitting that really nice trip, and has the tactical ability to kind of sit just a little bit off of it. She doesn't need to go to the front, but I'm sure Brian Hernandez and the razor sharp Joe Sharp will have this horse ready for a big effort. Jackson, the 11, Mikey touched on. Next Girl is a horse that you also have some love for. You also included this horse in second.
Yeah, I definitely preferred her to Mercy Warren. Those 2 faced off in August at Colonial, and I thought Mercy Warren got the best of the trip in that race, and Next Girl still ran her down in that spot. So if you're going to get her at a better price in here, I definitely preferred Next Girl. And if you look at her 1-turn form on the dirt, it's quite good. She's won 3 of her last 4. The only race she didn't was the most recent one. It was Stake at Laurel, where she didn't have Lasix. So maybe she has a built-in excuse for that performance. And it does seem like there's a lot of speed. We mentioned Mercy Warren is very fast. The 9 horse is fast. The 10 Beausoleil to their inside is quick, as is the 4 Pink Rose. This really seems like she's going to have pace in front of her, and she's going to be somewhat overpriced too. So she's one I'd also use on any kind of horse almost in this spot. I think she's got a good shot.
I like it. That's Next Girl, the number 11. Last one we'll talk about is the number 9, Sadie the Goat. 4-1 was a little bit short on the morning line, but again, this is a horse that when this horse gets to the front, and this horse is fast, I think with some true intention from Chavez out of the gate. I think even with the amount of speed in here, I still feel like Sadie the Goat might be the one hardest sent to get to the front. I know that's coming out of 2-turn races at Thistledown, so I hope that doesn't take too much of that early gas out of her, because obviously it's a very different race shape and race complexion. But if she makes it to the front, she's shown that she can just open it up and keep things going. So that's kind of my hope that I'm hanging on to for the 9 with Sadie the Goat. But this is one that I'd certainly go a little bit deeper in. Got to use the 13. I don't hate the point on the 11 in Next Girl.
I mean, this horse is the perfect
on the 9.
Hold on, one more time.
What price do you think you get on the 9? Because I think that 4-1 is quite low. I know she's 1-9 every time, but that's a pretty big step up for this horse. I would think this horse is going to drift up. You could get 8, 9, 10 to 1 on this horse despite winning 6 straight races. I just think that she's not going to get bet at all in here.
I'm with you. I wrote on my notes 7 to 1, so I have her hopefully somewhere in that area. Just because I'm with you. The low level connections, even though she's won her last 3 at 1-9, I do think she's not going to take much money in here, and you can't knock a horse in good form. So yeah, winner of 6 straight. Hopefully she can take that step up and bring the claiming crown from Thistledown. So we'll see. But I'll go for the 9. Jackson, do you have a question as well?
Well, I was going to add the 9. Like this horse is a perfect example of what makes the claiming crown so cool. I mean, she's been winning at Thistledown. She's won 6 in a row. It's obviously a very good horse, and now she's getting her shot at the big leagues at Churchill Downs and a big time stakes on Saturday. So I'm not going to use this horse, but definitely very easy to root for a horse like this. I do want to ask you guys. I don't like the 5 at all. Does anyone going to use the 5 Jubilant Joni, as that is one of your early favorites for this horse?
Mikey?
I don't like her at all. I mean, last year she was in awesome form when she came into this race, and she raced very well in there. She was bet too in there. She was, sub 2 to 1, and that was a tough race that she was in last year versus these. But I mean, now I don't know how you take her. I mean, really. And now she ran the Seismic Beauty back in April. I mean, you can excuse that line, but since then, I mean, and I know Navajo Warrior's a nice horse. We're going to see that horse later. I mean, this horse is facing repeaters, but I don't know. I don't think she can get the same kind of trip. She's going to be an underlay. She can win, I guess, if she gets back to herself, but this is not an easy race, and I just don't want anything to do with her.
100%. I don't want nothing to do with her. She's a horse that if she bounces back into form, her best races, I mean, I guess if you go way back to that last summer performance at Del Mar, that's probably going to get the job done going the mile at the $20,000 claiming level. But other than that, I mean, she's going to be a huge underlay in here. I agree with what you said there, Mikey. And you can maybe scratch the last because it was off a layoff, and then scratch the 2 back because, that preceded a layoff. But I still want nothing to do with this horse. This is one that can beat me. She didn't run a step in her comeback race, and she was bet with what's normally pretty smart money at Keeneland. So, I'm a pass on Jubilant Joni as well. All right, we'll wrap up race number 7. I'm going 9-13. Jackson's going 8-11, and Mikey's going 13-11. Race number 8, we're going 5.5 on the grass. We all have a universal top pick, and Mikey and I are in lockstep here. I went 4-3. Jackson went 4-5. Mikey went 4-3. Mikey, we'll throw it back to you. Universal top choice in the number 4 Frosty View. I would imagine it's off that last trip at Keeneland, where if this horse repeats that effort, he's going to be really tough to beat.
Yeah, he was fantastic in that race, and that wasn't an easy race. That was a 10-horse field at Keeneland that the horses looked very similar, and you can see by the price. And if you look at the chart there wasn't really a big favorite in there. I know that the one horse was sub 3 to 1, but a lot of the horses were jumbled when you look at the odds: 5 to 1, 9 to 1, 6 to 1, 8 to 1, 5 to 1. They're really. Nobody knew who was winning that race. And this horse just got to the front, took it to him early, took it to him late, and galloped in that race. So that was a fantastic effort. Now, I would argue that was a 2X at Keeneland. This is an easier spot here. You get a perfect post again. There's plenty of speed, but this one's the speed of the speed again. I think if this horse breaks on top, that they're all going to be chasing again. You get any kind of similar effort. I don't think the 5 furlongs is going to hurt whatsoever. It could, either 5.5, it shouldn't help. It's going to help this horse. I just think that this horse is the best and really has no rival in this spot. So I like the 4 quite a bit. I think that this one is probably my best bet of the day for Saturday.
I like it. And at 3 to 1, that's a healthy enough price. I'd imagine he's probably going to take a little bit of money. But again, this is a big field, so maybe we don't get too much shorter than that. Jackson, your thoughts on the number 4 Frosty View?
Yeah, if he runs back that Keeneland race, he's going to win. That was a monster effort. It was a strong pace. The pace fell apart, and he won that race for fun. I mean, that race was never in doubt at any point. So if he's able to replicate that performance, he's going to win. Even the race, 2 back, going a mile against stakes foes, that was excellent, going distance too far. 5 of his last 6 turf races would win this thing. So he seems a very likely winner. There's really not a whole lot of speed drawn to his outside either. So he's probably going to get the exact same trip he got at Keeneland, where he was just stalking on the outside, probably outside of the 1 horse on the rail. So I don't think there's a shot. We're going to get 3 to 1. He seems more like 9 to 5 ish. I think people are going to probably pick up on that as well. So I agree with Mikey. He seems like one of the more likely winners of the sequence that we're going to talk about.
Sorry. I'm with you. Yeah, that effort 2 back as well. I mean, that was against Emmanuel, Paros. Those are stakes caliber, stakes repeating horses. And he went toe to toe with them for a bit and ended up fading a little bit late at what I don't think is his best distance. So I'm with you. Any repeat of that, and he's going to be very tough to beat. Jackson, we'll stick with you real quick. The number 5 final verdict. You're going to try and get in underneath the number 4 Frosty View.
This is one of those strange horses where I don't. He's had so many excuses. I can make an excuse for his last 6 starts, but at what point does he just become a horse that doesn't get good trips because he's been wide, he's been against inside biases, he's been wide. Like at some point you got to run a winning race, and I know he's been running against good horses. I don't know. I do think I like the 4 more, but the 5 does have class. If anyone's going to mess it up for the 4, it might be him, just because he's drawn right outside of him, and he is just as quick. But you look at his turf sprints. I mean, all those races, I can make excuses for. It's just, again, as I said, he might just be one of those horses that just manages to find tough trips. So he'd be more of an underneath type for me, but I don't mind having a strong 4 or 5 exacta in this spot.
Yeah, I don't hate it. The cutback should fit pretty nicely. I don't think he's going to lose too much speed because he is a forward horse and he's very naturally quick. So I'm with you. And again, Judge Davis, Dear Dad, those are horses that are classier than this bunch that he's facing, but still have to get past Frosty View. Mikey, you and I landed on Sua Summer for now trained by Victor Barbosa, 4th start in his barn. What do you like about this one coming up from Gulfstream Park?
I just think this horse has some class to him. He likes to finish second. I mean, four seconds this year in 7 starts, but this horse has made money. And, it's always sort of around it. And the last several efforts have been solid, up close to the pace. And as again, was claimed for 25 and then has been protected ever since. This horse just runs its race every time. I think probably gets a very similar inside type trip there, close to the pace. It's just a matter of can this horse catch the 4. I don't know that they can, but I do think that he can round out a decent exacta in this spot. He's classier, he's faster, and some of these other ones, I don't know. It's hard to make a case for them chasing and finishing in here. I think he can chase and finish, and that's why I like him second.
Yeah, I share your sentiments on that last point where I feel like coming from just off the pace is kind of his game. He likes to, be chasing early and have that target in front of him. So I expect that that's the trip we're going to get from Luis Saez and Sosua Summer. So hopefully that's enough to clunk up for second because he certainly likes to finish in that spot. Once again, as you mentioned, turf and synthetic, he matches well on both. Obviously, this one's going to be run on the grass. Any other horses to speak about? Is anybody worried that the number 1 speed figures from the inside post could maybe pose a threat to Frosty View going too fast early?
No, if you're on the 4, you go. You do your thing. You don't even worry about him because that's exactly what it did last time at Keeneland. So if it worked there, why would it not work here against an easier bunch? I think Mikey brought up a good point about the 3 is that, there's just not a lot of proven closers in this race. Like a lot of these horses want to be close, and they're not nearly as quick as horses like the 1 and the 4. So I have a tough time seeing this race falling apart late.
Yeah, I don't know who it would fall apart into the hands of because, as you mentioned, there's not a whole lot of proven closers. Race number 8, I went 4-3. Jackson 4-5. Mikey 4-3. We'll move on. Race number 9, 7 furlongs on the main track. Picks are going up on the screen. I went 13-12. Jackson went 4-7. Mikey 12-4. Jackson, we'll start with you with the number 4. That's Soze. 12-1. This is a speedball, so expect him up front early.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people talk always about the cutback angle, right? The cutback horses going from 2 turns to 1 turn, they're going to have the more stamina. But I think the inverse can be true too. And looking at this race, all these horses are coming out of, mile 16th, mile and 8th races, or majority of them are. And this is the one horse who is very quick running in these 6 furlong races. And, it can be a little bit of a shock to the system of these other horses that are been galloping along at slower paces. And now they're thrust in this race with a horse like Soze, who's just going to put the pedal to the metal and make everyone else go faster and maybe negate or late kick. And if you toss his most recent race at Delaware, where the pace kind of came apart a bit, he's running numbers that are fast enough to win. He's the speed of the speed, and he's going to be a price in this spot. So I like this horse in this race. I don't think there's a whole lot of speed that he's going to have to contend with. And if he can get loose on the front end, I think he can take this field a long way.
Yeah, I respect this. I respect the pick, and I like the point that you brought up at the beginning of that, where sprinters stretching out is kind of similar to the inverse of deep closers cutting back, where you get to stretch that speed out, so it's more natural for them, and then the closers, you kind of get to they have that late turn of foot in a more compressed space as opposed to stretching out. But either way, I like the 4. Mike, you have some love for the 4 as well as you pick this one in second, and then you can talk about your top pick, the 12.
Yeah, I agree with Jackson. If you look to something that's interesting, if in sprint races, if you look at 2, 3, 4, and 5 back, this horse broke first every one of those races. So this horse is breaking first in sprint races. He's going to get the front. He's going to be a price. He controls the race. I could forgive the last race. I mean, he was 23-1. He was the longest shot in the board in that Delaware race. So I'm willing to throw that out. I mean, that's a condition allowance race. This, I think, is a better spot for this horse. So can he get the jump? I do think so. It's just a matter of, is he good enough in here? So I do think that he's the one I want on the front end. And just, a horse that I think controls the race at a price. From this post, he's going to be in front. So I don't mind him. And then, my top pick is the 12, though, Keen Cat. Now, this one's 8-1 morning line. And I want to throw that turf race out last time. Faced Risk Manager in there. We're going to see that horse later on this card, who's on quite the winning streak. But prior to that, has raced well over this track. 2 wins, 2 seconds in 4 starts. You get Brian Hernandez back in, and you get a cutback here for this one also, but has raced pretty well going a flat mile over this track. And if you see, he's favored over some of the horses he has to face in here. Horses like Gilmore has been knocking heads with that one. So I like the fact that this one's drawn outside. I think that the cutback will be okay. Maybe ends up in that stalking type spot. You have a pretty nice workout on November the 9th. And, maybe gets a little lost in the board given the finish last time where it was 3-1 versus Risk Manager over the grass. And this horse isn't even, he's won a couple grass races, but this horse is a dirt horse. I think that the sprint will be just fine. Has won at 7 furlongs over this track. There's just too many things to like at a price for me. I think he gets the right trip. If he's on his game here, and I think he will be, he's going to be tough. If you look at his figures, he's faster than most of these horses. So why not him, especially at a price? I think he plays really well in multis here.
Yeah, why not him? Oh, go ahead, Jackson.
Do you guys think he actually will be 8-1? I feel like he could be half of that because he seems very obvious to me at least.
Yeah.
He gets better.
Probably.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, he does get bet every time. He's been favored in his last 4 dirt efforts. And you mentioned he's been knocking heads with Gilmore. He has the right kind of run style, though. And on top of all that, and the points you made, never been out of the exacta at Churchill Downs, and he's never been out of the exacta in 3 tries going the 7 furlong distance, which could be kind of that unique kind of specialist distance. So he clearly likes that. He's going to run his race, and he is over a track that he prefers. And Brian Hernandez obviously knows how to work out a good trip or two. My top pick is to that one's outside. And the number 13 Nation, 6-1. Obviously, seeing 6-1 on a horse where Irad Ortiz is riding is always a positive because it's not often you get, above 9-5, or it's not often he could possibly be an overlay. But this is a horse that has shown some ability and has progressed nicely since being in the barn of Bob Hess, who's off to a 2-for-2 start at Churchill Downs this fall meet. I'm pretty familiar with this horse from Del Mar, and winning in that restricted non-2 life where they were just pretty much trying to dump this horse, came back in a claiming race and ran okay, and then went into the barn of Bob Hess, and Bob Hess immediately protected this horse, ran a good third, and then took that step up second time in the barn when winning at Keeneland. And I feel like this horse could take one more progression forward. This horse clearly had some talent as he was bought for almost $400,000, and maybe just didn't live up to that potential with Eclipse Thoroughbreds and Michael McCarthy. But Bob Hess seems to have this one going in a good rhythm, so I feel like third time off the claim for Bob Hess. Irad sees fit to stick aboard, and in a full field like this, I'm sure he had other options, and he wanted to stay here. So that's a vote of confidence for me, and just another one that I think can come from off the pace. So if they heat things up, maybe this one's kind of sitting in a good spot as they turn for home. So I want to go with the 13 Nation on top.
I love this horse. He's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, Jackson, we'll wrap up this race with the number 7, My Noble Knight, who made that early move on Hoodlum and threw off that horse that day. But you're going to take this one back now, going 7 furlongs on the cutback from 9.
This is what this horse wants to do. Every time he runs 2 turns, he makes this big move and he hits a wall in the final furlong. He did it last time at Keeneland. He got tired late. He did it at Parks. They cut him back to 1 turn at Saratoga. He won for fun. And then the Saratoga race on July 16th, I hammered Gilmore in that race, and I was watching the whole time. And some horse made this giant move on the turn. I think he actually put his head in front of Gilmore at one point. I'm like, oh, I just lost. And then all of a sudden, Gilmore took off, and this horse hit a wall. This horse wants to run the one turn. This is going to be perfect for him. The cutback is what he's always wanted to do. He's going to be tactical enough to put himself into the race, and I think this distance is going to hit him right between the eyes. So he's the horse I would definitely be using on all my horizontals as well, because he's finally in a spot, I think, where he can thrive.
Yeah, this does seem like the good spot for him. I'm with you on the cutback. I think that's positive. And Tom Amoss and Jose Ortiz, mainly Tom Amoss, him at this level with these claiming horses is one of his strongest. So I'm with you. The cutback could be beneficial. This is another big spread race for me. It's tough to have a really strong opinion.
Did anybody like the 14 at all? I thought he's another. I mean, this is a wide open race. You can make a case for a lot, but I thought he was a little interesting too.
I didn't. I've never liked this horse, to be fair. So, he's beaten me plenty of times, and early on in his career, I had him, and he cost. So he's one of those that I filed the divorce papers with, and he does kind of fit at this level, but it feels like he really only has one way of going, and he has to be really feeling himself to get the job done, and I don't want to trust in a horse like that.
Fair.
Mikey, any thoughts on
I prefer the 14 to the. Yeah, I prefer that one. I think that one is more a sprinter than the 7. You say that, Jackson, you said the 7, wants to sprint. But if you look back, I mean, at the overall line, this horse is always going 2 turns. Now, the Saratoga race, that's like a turn and a half. So, and then some horses do like that configuration. But that's the biggest number on the page. And there's a ton of 2-turn races for this horse. The couple sprints this horse did have were not very good. And even the 1-turn miles at Gulfstream were just okay. So I'm not sure if this horse has 25 starts and very minimal sprints. But I mean, I understand the horse, but I just don't know if the sprint is going to be ideal for him. You're probably going to get a price. Whereas at least the 14, you have a lot of sprint wins there. That one has some big numbers to go back to also, but sort of stuck at that 1X level. I don't know. I just think this horse is maybe an upper level claimer. There's just other nicer horses in this race. Would this horse surprise me? Probably. I think that maybe underneath. I don't know that I would use in picks. I just prefer others.
Yeah, I like all the reasoning there. We'll wrap up race number 9 one more time with the picks for our audio listeners. I went 13-12. Jackson went 4-7, and Mikey went 12-4. We'll go on to race number 10. Race number 10, we're going 9 furlongs on the dirt. Starter $25,000. Picks are up on the screen. I went 6-2, Jackson 8-12, Mikey 7-12. Jackson, I think you're up, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll go to the number 8, Legree, 30-1, Rudy Rodriguez and Axel Concepcion. Sell me, go for it.
Yeah, we're blowing up the tote, and as we talked about, you got a full field. There's 14 horses. There's speed on the inside. There's speed hung way out wide. I don't see any way this pace is not fast. And that's probably going to most likely set for a horse we're going to talk about in the 12. But I think if we're picking a bomb in this spot, I do think Legree is a little interesting. The turf race last time it was okay, but the race 2 back at Saratoga, that was a better group than what he's facing here. He was very, very even running style in there. It looked like he was done and then kind of came on again, ran like a horse that wanted more ground, and he's getting it in this spot. The race 3 back, I will admit, was kind of a joke when all the horses scratched and he kind of just went for fun. But the 87 buyer stacks up, pretty well against the rest of this group. And then the race 4 back in July at Saratoga was a massive inside speed bias. He was always wide. I think that's also a race you can kind of just chuck. And I think he's got form that's just a little dirtied up. He's run plenty of numbers that are good enough to win. He's not going to be on the lead in this spot. He's going to be coming from out of it. And I'm hoping this pace collapses for him. And at a giant number, I do think he's a horse that is capable of picking up these pieces late and maybe blowing this thing up.
Yeah, look, I mean, the numbers 2 and 3 back, they fit. And this is one where he's just going to kind of sit back and make his one run. So if they do heat things up early, I have no bad things to say about this 30-1 shot. Mikey, any thoughts on this before we go right to the inside and double your money?
I mean, I do think that it's a little interesting in there, especially at that price point. Would need things to go his way, but when you're taking 30-1, that's fine. And the fact that Rudy shipped this horse here makes it very interesting in this spot. I think that that's a nice pick. I wouldn't be shocked if that horse won the race, and especially at that price, definite use in multis. I think that's a horse you want to on this day to maybe find, and certainly not impossible, especially if he runs back to the races 2 and 3 back. So I don't mind that one at all. Actually, I like that horse that Jackson threw out. The 7 I just think is interesting from a class standpoint. I like his last 2 races. And I mentioned this horse earlier on this podcast that he's just racing very well. Showed up at Parks in that mile and a half spot. He was never going to beat the winner in there. That horse was 3-5, was very well meant, that shipped in. And I just think that he raced very well there. And he followed it up with a really nice win in New York in a starter allowance race. This horse is, I think, improving. I think the Lasix helps a lot. He's going to get an outside stalking type trip. If you look this year, 11 starts, 4 wins, 6 seconds, 1/3. He couldn't be any sharper. And coming into this race, I think at his best. So I do like him a lot in here. I think he gets the right trip, and he's just better than a lot of these horses are right now. So he would be the one for me. And I think that he'll be an okay enough price. He's 6-1 in the program. He's probably somewhere between 4 and 6, right? I mean, other horses are going to take money in the race.
I could certainly see him floating up in price as well. Kind of low-level connections. There's going to be people that gravitate towards some, maybe more popular connections, such as the number 12 horse that both of you picked in second. I picked this horse in third, Navajo Warrior, Safi Joseph, Irad Ortiz teaming up, trying to go make it 5-6 straight wins for this horse, now in the barn of Safi Joseph.
He is the textbook example of the light bulb ankle, because this horse could not win at these lower level claiming races, and he finally won, and he split the switch, and he has been nothing but phenomenal ever since. He's just getting faster and faster and faster. If it's a slow pace, he can sit a little off of it and still win. If they fly, he can come from way out of it and still win. Just a super easy horse to like in here. And he's supposed to, he's one of this track. He's supposed to get a setup. The barn's going well. It's Irad Ortiz. I would expect him to be a pretty clear favorite by the time this race goes off, but there's no doubt he is the horse to beat in this race.
He's the horse to beat. He's in razor sharp form. Mikey, anything to add on this one?
No, he's just been awesome, and I actually liked him in Southern California when he was racing there. I had him a couple times, especially I caught him at 5-1 back in April, and since then he's been even better. And he shipped east. He showed up at Saratoga and won nicely, and then he showed up here, Churchill, and won from an outside post. He's very versatile. He's good, and he's going to be tough to beat. There's others that can beat him in here. I could see the 13 maybe, running a pretty nice race, but he's a horse you have to have on tickets. Like I'm not sure that he's any horse that I would single in here, but he's a must use.
Yeah, certainly a must use. You mentioned the 13. My top pick, I went with a bit of a price in Wilaka for at 15-1 for Kelsey Danner, Adam Beskica. They've been on fire when they team up together for one. So I'm confident in picking those connections. But this horse is also going good at the right time. Last out, had a good win over the track going the 1-turn mile. Now stretches out to 9 furlongs. Faced a couple of these in Cadet Corps and Burning Hot 2 back going 9 furlongs at Colonial. I like that effort. Maybe just flattened out a little bit late, which obviously maybe I question if the 9 furlongs is truly best for this horse, but has some consistent numbers and seems to be in a good vein of form right now. So at 15-1, I feel like we'll get every bit of that. I hope Beskica just kind of drops this horse back, just has a clean trip and is going to make that run as they turn for home. And the stretch is going to be long enough. So in Beskica, I trust on this one. Go with a price in Wilaka to shake things up a bit. Last one is that I'll talk about is the number 2 Cadet Corps, Junior Alvarado on for Kelly Breen. This one shipped in from Delaware off of a 1.70-yard third place finish, but 2 back, won a 1.125 in that Colonial race I just referenced and got the win that day. That was a really nice race, and this is another one that's just very consistent. This race, I have very few strong opinions. This would be if I decided to play the pick 5 on Saturday, this would be a huge spread race. There's 8 or 9 horses that are all within, a couple points of each other and in good veins of form. I wanted to go with the 2 Cadet Corps just because I felt like that race 2 back is going to be one that I want to lean on. I like Certified Lover Boy, who finished 3rd in there. Not in this race, but I like that horse overall as a good company line. So 6-2 for me, 8-12 for Jackson, and Mikey 7-12. Any other horses you guys want to talk about before we move on to the finale?
I'll just ask Mikey really quick because we talked about the speed. And I know he has a 7 on top. Do you envision him trying to wire this field, or do you think he's going to come from a little off of it?
Um, that's a good question. I think that he could probably do it either way because he's been up close in his last couple starts. And if nobody wants it, I think he can take it, and I think he could take him a long way. But there's other horses that want it. I mean, the 10's probably going to go. There's other horses that could be forward in here. Maybe the 13 wants to go. I could see him sitting just outside and getting that. However he wants to do it kind of trip in this race. And he's always close to the pace. So would I mind him in the front? Not really. Would I mind him just off a top 2 or 3 that we're dueling? No, not really. I think he can win either way.
I like it. Good question by Jackson on the number 7, double your money. We'll move on now to race number 10. One more time for the audio listeners. Race 10 picks. I went 6-2. Jackson went 8-12. Mikey 7-12. We'll move on now. Race number 11, final leg of these 6 races. Going a mile and a 16th rather. Starter $8,000 condition. I went 3-4. Jackson 4-9. Mikey 3-8. But let's start the conversation with one of your heavier favorites in the sequence. I don't know if you guys think maybe this will be the heaviest favorite. Risk Manager. Mikey alluded to this one a couple races back. Mikey, you're going to kick us off. For me, this is a pretty heavy lean to end this sequence if I was going to play anything horizontally. What about you?
He's just been awesome, really. Those last 3 starts, he's been fantastic. He comes from way out of it, though, and that makes him a little bit tough to trust. But, I mean, if you watch the Ellis race, that was great. I thought the Kentucky Downs race was very impressive. Started out on the inside, then he ended up wide on the turn. Now, he had to dig down to win there, but he wanted it. And then if you watch the New York race, Pratchett sat him in last and kind of, took those horses as he pleased. He's just in great form. He's very, very good right now. And the problem is, can he come from last again to win? I think he can. He's just in that much of a good form. I don't know that he'll be the biggest favorite on the card. I think that, he's probably somewhere, I guess, between, 8-5 and 2-1, because there's other horses you can bet in this race, but he's just very sharp and he looks effortless almost in some of these races that he's winning. So he's hard to go against, I think.
It looks impressive. That last effort at Backwood, Flavian Pratt rarely looks that confident on a horse with so much to do, and he never looked like he was worried about that race for a second about getting the victory. Classic Mike Maker angle to get a horse in his best vein of form going at 7 years old. So that's a good Maker angle. Has this horse going right. I'm with you. This for me is a heavy lean. My bad if I said heaviest favorite on the card. I meant more of the 6 races that we covered. But either way, Jackson, you are taking an alternate approach, trying to beat the favorite in the 3 Risk Manager. You're going to go with the 4 Nantasket Beach and the Frenchman Leperoux on top.
Yeah, I think the problem with Risk Manager that he's going to run into in this race is there's just not a lot of speed. I mean, you're going through this full field, and there's not a lot of horses that like to be up on the front end of it. And last time he had everything his own way. He saved all the ground. It was a perfect trip from Pratt. He had a fast pace to chase. I don't think he's getting necessarily – he might not get any of those scenarios in this spot. So I would be trying to beat him at a short price. I do think Nantasket Beach is a little interesting. He's going to be one of those horses that will be forwardly placed. He's just looking at this field. He's not always up there, but there's just no one else in here to go with him. So I think he'll be up close. The last race was concerning. He didn't run a step at Saratoga. The race 2 back, obviously, at Churchill would probably win. But even the race 3 back at Gulfstream, he was good. He was really good all spring long. So maybe, they just need a little time off. I'm sure this has been the target ever since. I'm sure they saw that they were eligible for a race like this. They're going to get him ready for Churchill Downs, big purse, track he's run well at. And if he's able to reverse form, get back to that form he showed earlier this year, I think he's got a shot against these.
Yeah, I picked this horse in second. I certainly thought Nantasket Beach deserved a look. I like the pace style or the running style this horse has been up close to some slow paces. So I'm with you. I don't know that there's an abundance of speed, but looking at the race 2 back for Risk Manager, just to go back to that one real quick, was able to sit a little bit closer around made that kind of mid-race move that was successful. That was at Kentucky Downs, maybe a little bit of an asterisk there, but certainly Nantasket Beach fits. That 2 back effort was very strong over this track, getting the 97 buyer. So one that I don't want to discount at all in the sequences. The number 8, Grounded, Mikey. This is going to be a pace factor up front. Shipping in from Presque Isle Downs. You expect this one to go to the front and see how far he can take him?
Yeah, I don't know that he's a turf horse, but I will say that, he has 14 synthetic wins, but he's got some class to him, and he's been facing tough horses. The numbers aren't super fast, but he does have a pace edge in this race. The fact that they're here There's no Encinos in this race, so he's going to be up close. His turf lines are just okay, but this race, there's no real huge killers in here. I do think that I like the pace edge. I like who he's been facing. He's having a fantastic season, and he's going to need to be caught in here. So, I mean, maybe the 9 sits off him. I don't know if he's quite fast enough to beat these horses, especially the 3. But I do think, like Jackson says, there's not a ton of speed in here. So, yeah, I mean, he's, the pace edge and the class factor alone make him a play for me. And he's 6-1 morning line. And I do think you can get that in here because the 9's going to take money. The 4 will take money. I'm sorry, but, that 97 sticks out to everybody. 97 over this track, 8-1 morning line. No, he's going to beat 2, 3. I mean, he's going to take a ton of money in this race off that line. I don't know if he's good enough, but he's going to be bet in here. So I like the 8 a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm with you that there's no Encino. I'd probably push back a little bit at 2-1 for Nantasket Beach. Probably around 4. Maybe, I think maybe around 4. I do think a horse like
probably a little low. You might need a track for that.
That's fair. I do think the number 9 Echo Lane is going to take some money, and this is one I anticipate being forward. I know maybe that's not his run style always, but Saya's aboard outside draw. I would expect Louis Saez to get him out of there and get some forward position. Whether or not that's right on the lead, I don't know. But hopefully that's going to be a bit of a pace factor. And then any thoughts on the Rail Runner and Gewürztraminer? Manny Esquivel, is this a pace presence to you guys, or is this one that's not exactly fast enough early, even though he's been up close in some races?
He's got one chance to win, and it's to go. If you believe that last number, you're supposed to love him in this spot, right? Because I don't know where it came from, but damn, he looked good doing it. I mean, he smoked that field. It's just a matter of, can he do it again? Because that number just sticks out like a sore thumb from everything he's ever done on the turf before. But, there's not a lot of speed. So if they just leave him alone up there, I mean, I won't be shocked. I had him 3rd.
Yeah, no, Gewürztraminer certainly makes maybe a little bit of sense if you do love him in that on that last effort. I was thinking maybe this is kind of one of those horses that could go with a horse like Grounded, maybe a horse like Echo Lane, and just kind of force that pace for the 3. But yeah, no, if you like that last race for Gewürztraminer, then you're supposed to love him in here. Man, I got to stop saying that name so many times.
I'm glad you're pronouncing it and not me. I just called him the 1. I think that's easier.
The 1, yeah.
I got
that is an easier way to pronounce it. Any other horses to talk about in the finale here, Mikey? Anything that we haven't talked about yet?
No, I think we got this race pretty well covered. I mean, those are the contenders in this spot. I think one of those major contenders will probably win the last. I don't really see any huge upsets in there, but it's a phenomenal day, phenomenal racing, and jump in on these multis, because with these big fields, you got big morning lines, and some of those horses that maybe lower in the win pool might play better in some of those multi-leg bets, because they're just, people are going to be spreading out. There's going to be a lot of tickets spread to a lot of different horses. And they're all pretty much, there's a lot of horses in form. It's big money. A lot of these horses don't go for this kind of money, so they're going to be ready to roll. And that's why I love big days.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those horizontal sequences where there is no super short favorite, and there's certainly not multiple of them. This is one where you could have, a fair bit of bankroll invested into it, because with the competitive fields, there's going to be prices, and even if it's a bunch of 7-2s, you're still going to get a good ROI for maybe a bit of a larger ticket. Jackson, I didn't let you talk about the number 9 Echo Lane, so do that before we wrap things up here.
Just a horse. I love Churchill. He's very classy. He's racing better recently, and he's another one that you got to think this has kind of been the target after the race at Colonial didn't probably go the way they wanted it to. But with Saez on, he's going to be forwardly placed, and he's got plenty of numbers that make him tough in here.
I'm with you. This is one I tried to get behind, because I'm with you. He is consistent in the way that he always kind of runs his race, and he's going to be forward. And I think in this race, that's going to be a threat. But when his wins are by a neck or a head or a half length or a head for his 4 wins, I mean, he barely gets there. Racing. It is great. That's fair. That's a fair point. But taking 3-1, I'm not against this horse. I think I have this horse like 4th. But no, I'm not pushing back too much. I just think it is one of those where he does like the track. He's 5 for 7 at the distance, so I got to give him his props there, because he certainly likes the 8.5 furlongs. All right. One more time with the picks for our audio listeners. I'm going 3-4, Jackson 4-9, and Mikey 3-8. Jackson, I got Mikey's thoughts on the sequence. Are you going to be playing anything horizontal, or are you just going to be focused on that tournament that you guys qualify for today?
No, definitely going to be focused on that tournament for sure. Quick plug for Twin Spires. They have an NHC qualifier on Saturday, so they don't have too many of those. Definitely one. If you're trying to make the NHC, try to get involved in that one for sure. It's a phenomenal card. The $3 pick three. Always try to play it as much as we can. And I do think my stronger opinions were those last 3 races. So the giant fields and the $3 minimum. I mean, if you're able to connect the dots, regardless of who you like, you are going to get paid. So definitely a sequence I want to be involved with.
Yeah, good shout out to the Twin Spires tournament that's going on for the NHC qualifier. Good chance to get your trip paid for out to Vegas in March. And then, that $3 late pick 3 that's now becoming, regular at a lot of these main tracks with that low takeout. That's always fantastic. Mikey, I'm excited that you're able to join us more and get on our shows now that we're on In the Money, and we can coordinate getting these shows out. So it's been great having you as always.
Yeah, appreciate it. And I know you guys joined us for a Plus show this past weekend, and we're going to have you back for another Del Mar Plus show this weekend coming up. So if you're not a subscriber to In the Money Plus, you can go to inthemoneypodcast.com/plus and check that out. Lots of great information and more stuff from us. And really, that's worth paying for, I think.
Without a doubt it is. You get a lot of sharp content on there. Jackson, you and I were going to cover Del Mar's Saturday card tomorrow on this channel. However, that seems a little bit up in the air because on a very rare instance, we are supposed to get a lot of rain
in California. Yeah, who knew?
Who knew? And apparently it picked a good Saturday of racing to do it. So their status is up in the air. They're going to announce it tomorrow morning. The card is out, and the card looks very competitive. If they do not cancel, which I think there's a meeting somewhere around 9 a.m. tomorrow, so we'll be able to find out pretty early on. If they do cancel, we are going to pivot to the New York, the Aqueduct late pick 5 sequence. If they decide to run racing, Jackson, you and I are going to cover some Del Mar racing. So we're going to play it up in the air. Obviously, good card out west here at Del Mar, and good card out east with, I believe, the Knickerbocker coming up this weekend as well. So we'll wrap things up on this channel for this show for right now, though. Mikey, thank you again for joining us. This has been the Gallop Out. Please like and subscribe to the Gallop Out on YouTube. Please go over to In the Money, where you're going to find all of our podcasts. Again, starting about next week, it will only be on those channels on X and YouTube. Go to In the Money. I'll just throw the banner up so I don't inthemoneypodcast.com and check out all their content. Join In the Money Plus so you can see hear Jackson, Mikey, and I talk Del Mar once again this weekend. We'll be back tomorrow with either New York or Del Mar, weather permitting. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.